Welcome, everyone. This is Tuesday, February the 8th edition of the NCAA Basketball Daily Dime Show, powered by the Break the Playbook and presented by SportsMemo TV. And I have you more than covered for tonight's action. We're going to break down three of the big games on the card for the Tuesday night action. And I'm joined by my regular Tuesday co-host, Jesse Schule. Welcome to the show, Jesse. We're going to get right to it here. And our first game is in the SEC, and it's now number 2 Auburn at Arkansas. Interesting. But Auburn escaped barely in Georgia in their last game, and that's clearly the reason why they are number 2 now. I still think they're a team that, as I said weeks ago, probably 5 weeks ago, that they were a team on the rise. You can't rise more than number 1, so a little regression here is I guess, normal. But this game has Arkansas, which intrigues me, is only a 2-point underdog at home. 59% of the bets so far are on the Tigers, and a total of basically 150 right now. There's a couple of 149.5 after opening. I'm sorry, it opened at 149.5. It's now gone up to 151.5. So, Jesse, I have no clue here what to do with this matchup. I'm scared to take Auburn because they're coming off of that game against Georgia. And the fact that it's 2 points makes me lean Arkansas. So give me some guidance here and tell me where you think the best bet is.
Well, John, you might remember on this show 2 weeks ago, I had a play on Missouri plus 17.5 against then number 1 Auburn. And Auburn was just named number 1. And I mentioned how often the value is betting against the number 1 ranked team in the country. And often these number 1 ranked teams have letdowns. And I guess we haven't seen Auburn lose any games, but we have seen them have some letdowns. You mentioned the game against Georgia, but looking back at that game against Missouri, they won that game 55-54. It was a 1-point game, could have gone either way. It was a bit disappointing for us, even though we had the big winner on the point spread. Also a bit of a sprinkle on the money line that just missed there. And I was looking ahead to this game, actually, back then, thinking that this was the spot. Because if it had lined up perfectly, if Auburn had just kept on winning, and if Arkansas had a bad loss on the road somewhere along the line, I was hoping to get Arkansas at around plus 5.5 here. And that would have made it a 5-unit or a 10-unit big play for me. Now, we're not getting that. We're only getting half that much or 2 or 2.5 points here. So that makes it a little less enticing. But, I still think this is a game that Arkansas should win outright. They have won 8 straight. They're 13-1 at home. They average 81.3 points per game at home. Auburn, they've had some struggles with some lesser teams on the road. And they've had some struggles against Arkansas in the past. Arkansas has won 2 of their last 3 home games against Auburn. The one loss came in overtime by a score of 79-76. So, like I say, I think Auburn has no business coming into Arkansas as a favorite, and I'll take that 2 points.
Great breakdown, Jesse. I can add some fuel to that fire, too. The Tigers are just 4-9 with 1 push their last 14 games as a road favorite. The Razorbacks are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 home games. That's a pretty good trend. And the Razorbacks are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games, facing an opponent with a win percentage of 600 or higher. So I think you got me leaning towards Arkansas here for sure. I know you have it as a best bet. Let's move on to the Big East. And the Big East is one of my favorite conferences, as everybody knows. We have Villanova taking on St. John's at Madison Square Garden tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the starting guards of both teams may not be playing. In fact, Villanova's tandem of guards that start may not be playing tonight due to ankle injuries. So the Red Storm offense runs through the guy's very dynamic and quick. His name is Posh Alexander. He missed the final 2 minutes and 26 seconds of the 75-72 win over Butler on Saturday and is listed as questionable for this game tonight. If he doesn't go, the drop-off is pretty significant, and this is where I like the idea with the Wildcats here as my best bet for the show. Colin Gillespie is a senior. He's undoubtedly the team leader of the Villanova Wildcats. He came down on a foot trying to get a rebound and rolled his ankle. And that was midway through the second quarter of their win over UConn on Saturday. So he's listed as questionable for tonight's game, as is the other point guard, who is names escaping me here. Well, the other starting guard for the Wildcats is not listed as probable. He's listed as questionable, and that name will come to me shortly. The Wildcats have played many, many seasons with no center. There's no center on the roster for many, many years. They play with four guards a lot of the time. So this is where the depth of the guard position of Villanova is superior to St. John's. And they have one kid that's a freshman from the Germantown Academy in Philadelphia, which is my alma mater. And he's 6'5", 220 as a freshman. And his physical skills are just off the charts. And they've been bringing him along slowly for obvious reasons. The depth is there. You have to earn a position on a team like Villanova. But their depth is vastly superior to St. John's. Junior Chris Archie Diacono is a second of the same family to play for Villanova. He hasn't played that much, but he's a fundamentally sound player. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's not going to make stupid mental mistakes. And Jordan Longino is the guy I was talking about that's from Germantown Academy, and he is a very, very special player. If he plays tonight, I think he'll see extended minutes, and you'll enjoy seeing this athlete perform at Madison Square Garden tonight. Now, the betting markets here have opened at 6 points, making the Wildcats a 6-point road favorite, but it's now gone down to 4, and I think that reflects the news that more than likely, both of those guards I mentioned are not going to be playing for Villanova tonight. But that gives us a great opportunity to buy cheap. And I like buying Villanova here at -4, given that superior depth. The Red Storm is 0-6 against the spread in home games and facing a visitor with an excellent defense that's allowing no more than 42% shooting on the season. And they're also a money-burning 1-7 after having won 2 of the last 3 games in games played over the last 3 seasons. So clearly I am on the Villanova Wildcats. And if it goes any lower, like 3.5, or if it keeps chugging down there, consider the money line, because I don't think they are going to lose this game outright. So let's move on to the last game, Jesse, and it's UCLA at Stanford. UCLA is now 12th in the nation after being, I believe, 3rd last week. They got surprised. They got shocked by Arizona State, and that was a shocking loss, to say the least. It was an overtime loss, triple overtime loss. I had a 5%er on the over in that game, Jesse, so couldn't have picked a better time to have triple overtime. But that covered by like a ridiculous amount. It wasn't even in question. But now UCLA has to bounce back on the road against a Stanford team that's 10-2 at home. They're 5-7 against the spread in those home games. On the road, we have UCLA is 5-2 on the road, 3-4 against the spread in their road games. So where are you taking us in this matchup?
Well, I'm going to take the points again here. I'm looking at Stanford, and they've been a bit of a, they've got a bit of a reputation for being giant killers this season. They've already beaten USC twice. They beat Washington State on the road. They beat Oregon at home. So that covers the top 4, 3 of the top 4 teams in the Pac-12. Like you said, UCLA is coming off that loss at Arizona State that was surprising to some, perhaps less surprising to guys like me that had Arizona State in that game. The Bruins, 5-2 on the road. They only average 69.3 points per game on the road, and they're just 2-2 in their last 4 road games. Both of those wins came in games decided by less than 7 points. Since 2017, Stanford is 3-0 at home against UCLA. All close games. 2 of those games went to overtime. The Bruins 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 road games, and the home team is 18-7-1 in the last 26 head-to-head games. And I'm going to take the points here with Stanford.
I'd like to call, I think, the 7.5, and you're going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line too?
Absolutely.
I think I agree with that. I think UCLA is reeling from that last loss. I don't think they were expecting to lose that game. And I believe they were, 13.5-point favorites in that game. So he loses, double-digit chalk. The bounce back usually doesn't happen right away in the next game. So of the three, I like that bet probably the most, even better than my Villanova bet. So that'll do it for this edition of the Daily Dime Show. We're speaking with Jesse Schule here on Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. I want to take this time to thank everybody for watching this show, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that bell. That way you get notified for every single show we do. We cover every single sport that is available to be covered for the sports betting perspective. So have yourself a great Tuesday in the sports betting markets, and we'll see you again tomorrow. And always remember, bet with your head and never over it, and may all the wins be yours.